Keeping watch on rising waters, how people who've been flooded before are coping with the latest threat. We'll also update the situation on the Kansas Turnpike south of Wichita, overwhelmed by floods. Mars plans another upgrade to its Topeka plant, what we know, and another Chief star takes a final turn on the field.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Bruner.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. Welcome in here at 10. For the better part of a week and a half now, we have had storms morning, noon, or night that are fairly serious. Is it quiet out there or more on the way?
Jeremy Goodwin is up first with a look at the latest flood threat this evening.
Hi, Ralph and Melissa. We've seen impressive rainfall totals across the area. Emporia, 2.4 inches of rain. That's since midnight last night up until right now. In Topeka, the number is over an inch. We've seen many spots across northeast Kansas with high rainfall totals. Manhattan 2.2, Topeka 1.3. But over the past 4 days, many of us have seen 4 and 5 inches of rain. So this is on top of what's already fallen, making for some flooding conditions here and there. Now, checking out the radar Capitol Federal Live Storm Tracker, you'll see that the heaviest batch of rain now extends from Hiawatha to Atchison, just east of Lawrence, Baldwin City, and then down into the Garnett area. And most of northeast Kansas, however, is out of the heaviest of this rain. It looks like conditions will actually start to improve overnight. Still some scattered rain possible, but Supercast takes the heaviest of it out of here, and that means a lot of the flash flooding concerns should start to move away from us as we're looking to a nice Mother's Day weekend on the way. I'll look at more at this and have your full 8-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Well, people all around northeast Kansas remain on alert for possible flooding again tonight. Several creeks were rising and threatening to spill over. Juan Cisneros is live for us at Cross Creek in Rossville. Juan, what are you seeing? How does it look out there?
Well, Melissa, there's good news out here in Rossville as the storm that was headed in this direction has weakened to the point that the National Weather Service has canceled the flood warning for Cross Creek. But with that being said, the flooding or the incoming storm did cause concerns through a majority of the day that it might cause the water levels of Cross Creek to go over 25 feet.
We're a little concerned, so we're keeping an eye on it.
Mike Schmersey has lived near Cross Creek for 15 years and has lived through its floods.
We've been flooded once in 2005, but yeah, it makes you worry. Of course, got a lot of stuff in our basement, so we got a plan whether or not we start cleaning it out.
In that 2005 flood, the creek crested at over 31 feet. In 2015, it reached 29 feet. By Wednesday night, Nelson Castile with Shawnee County Emergency Management says the level again approached a tipping point.
Right now, it's forecast to crest at 25.3. That means that a lot of the low-lying areas there, the next foot up takes a little bit because it spreads out. When it reaches 26, then we start to get concerned and we start reaching out even further to those partners that we're dealing with.
According to the National Weather Service's inundation map, at 26 feet, there would be flooding in the areas right around the creek. Rising just 2 more feet, you could see some significant flooding throughout the city of Rossville. Castile says even though forecasts are changing and showing the potential for less rain, floods are still possible.
Sometimes there's a lull where there's not as much coming down, but by the time the tributaries come in there, it can be dangerous.
Now, if you would still like to take a look at those interactive inundation maps for yourself, I did post a link to that on WIBW.com. But just to reiterate one more time, the flood warning here at Cross Creek in Rossville has been canceled. Ralph?
All right. Juan Cisneros, and thank you there in Rossville for giving us a look at the scene tonight. Riley County also has those of you around Wildcat Creek on alert tonight, and the threat may be lessening. Emergency officials issued their voluntary evacuation notice this morning for Keats right outside Manhattan. Wildcat Creek rose quickly from the overnight storms, but it crested this afternoon at 20 feet just below major flood stage level and was receding tonight. Parts of Linear Trail remain closed at this hour. Mild flooding is expected along the Kansas River in Riley County for the next few days. South of Topeka, the Wakarusa River was out of its banks early today. Everybody, all of you there, warned to be prepared to leave your homes if the water kept on rising. That too crested below the major flood stage level and was going down this afternoon.
Well, you do need to be on the lookout for water over the roads tonight. I want to show you on the map a new alert from the Kansas Highway Patrol. There's Holton, there's Valley Falls. This is Highway 116 at the Atchison-Jackson County line. The Delaware River is over the road in that area tonight. We also continue to have that major issue for folks who might be traveling down the turnpike. Let's head on over to Emporia, and you will find as we get down here, we go to the Emporia area. K99, you have the Neosha River north of town that has the road shut, south of town the Cottonwood River overflowing its bank, and just to the west of there as you get between Strong City and Cottonwood Falls, you still have the highway closed from flooding tonight. But the major roadblock, if you plan to head south, headed to the Wichita area, the Kansas Turnpike, you are going to want to continue to make alternate plans. There it is. From Wellington south to the Oklahoma border, the Kansas Turnpike remains closed tonight. And take a look at why that is. Our sister station, KWCH, captured this drone video of water just inundating the road. You can see the concrete median barriers just simply pushed aside. The Kansas Turnpike Authority says it does have crews and materials ready to launch into any needed repairs as soon as that water would recede. Potential road damage from heavy rains is a concern in many areas tonight. Shawnee County Public Works had to close Southwest Crawford Road today from 101st to 109th to make some emergency repairs there. They say heavy rain washed out some of the structure around a drainage ditch culvert. They added some rock. They stabilized the area. They do hope to reopen that area tomorrow. That is, if it holds up during tonight's storms. And health officials are warning you to stay away from any streams and rivers right now. Not only is the water moving quickly, which is dangerous, but all the runoff from our recent rains has it swimming with pathogens that could make you sick. The city of Topeka also alerted us today that recent repairs to a sanitary sewer main near Southwest 25th and Randolph failed, leaking some raw sewage into Shunga Creek. However, none of this impacts your tap water. The drinking water is safe in Topeka.
Topeka's Mars plant is going to get a multi-million-dollar upgrade. The Joint Economic Development Organization, JADO, tonight gave final approval to incentives for that. So Mars is planning its $30 million investment to enhance the capability of the equipment it has here. Go Topeka will award the company up to $66,000 to help do that. Mars opened its Topeka plant in 2014 and has at this point invested more than $500 million in the site and 420 jobs. Also from JADO tonight, they improved the incentive for Project Purple. The company's name is secret for now. Go Topeka will only say it is a professional services company that's already in Shawnee County. That company plans a $9 million capital expansion. They will add 220 new jobs over 5 years with average annual salaries of $52,000. The Joint Economic Development Panel approved a package of up to $1.5 million paid per job and dollars invested. Geary County has its new sheriff tonight. J.C. Post is reporting Governor Kelly officially appointed Dan Jackson to fill the rest of Tony Wolf's term. Wolf was forced to resign in April when he pleaded no contest to theft charges. Sheriff Jackson to be sworn into office Thursday afternoon at the Geary County office building. Sheriff Jackson is a military veteran who had earlier worked as a lieutenant and detective within the sheriff's office.
Governor Kelly and Democrats are crying foul over some strings attached to money for corrections improvements. Lawmakers did approve nearly $36 million to boost employee pay and deal with inmate crowding. But one provision blocks a plan to temporarily close a maximum security cell house for men because of staffing problems, and another provision could thwart plans to increase space for female inmates. Also, legislative leaders must sign off on how much of the prison system spends much of the money. Republicans argue that oversight is needed because of the size of the spending increase. Lawmakers also dropped a plan to increase oversight of Kansas' troubled child welfare system in the final hours of their session. The Wichita Eagle and Kansas City Star report it would have created a committee that would have summoned officials to explain problems, draft legislation, and provide frustrated parents with a place to vent. Some advocates saw the panel as their last best hope to make progress on issues like child death, staff recruitment, and runaways. The measure became caught up in the legislative battle over Medicaid expansion. Advocates for expansion say they are not giving up. Members of the Poor People's Campaign dropped flowers to the State House floor today. They say each represents a person suffering from lack of health coverage. The House passed a Medicaid expansion bill this session, but the Senate refused to debate it, and they adjourned early Sunday. Opponents say it's too costly. This group says they'll return May 29th for what is normally lawmakers' ceremonial adjournment in hopes of forcing a vote.
People who work at a call center on Topeka's VA grounds say management has some unrealistic demands for their call times to veterans. National call center workers held signs at 21st Engage today. Employees telling 13 News they are instructed to limit their calls to veterans to a bit under 6 minutes. Call center workers say that's not enough time to talk with the veterans on their issues ranging from their billing to prescriptions to VA enrollment.
That is totally wrong. Our veterans deserve way more than 5 minutes and 57 seconds to get their issues resolved. But to be pigeonholed into thinking that if I talk to the veteran and service their needs, I run the risk of being fired is ridiculous.
Member Services runs the call center as a separate entity from the VA Medical Center. They're also telling us here at 13 News they set high performance standards to provide fast and accurate information, and service to the veterans comes first. The United Way of Greater Topeka is working to close a gap of about $300,000. United Way leaders, partners, and donors, the United Way led by Jessica Lenner, made a public pitch for support today. The money helps people with basic needs in our area, as well as financial stability and education programs. Organizers say if they don't close that gap, about 130 area families would lose financial support, and seniors and school kids would lose services. We have some information on WIBW.com on how you can donate.
The second of 3 Topeka men charged in a triple homicide in downtown Lawrence was sentenced today. 23-year-old Ahmaud Rayton will spend 10 years in prison for attempted voluntary manslaughter. He declined to make any statement in court today. The charge stemmed from an October 2017 shooting on Mass Street that killed Coleman Henderson III and Charmel Dean Rayton of Topeka, along with Leah Brown of Shawnee. 2 others were wounded. Dominic McMillan pleaded guilty in March to misdemeanor battery. A third suspect, Anthony Roberts Jr., is scheduled for trial in June on 3 counts of murder. Police near Denver have more information about the suspects in yesterday's school shooting. We'll fill you in on that a little bit later. Plus, talk of a subpoena for Donald Trump Jr. will explain the reason for that.
Also, a pretty girl and a pretty name. We're going to meet Samaria on Wednesday's Child right after Jeremy's look at the weather.
You're watching 13 News at 10 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas News Leader. This is your 13 weather forecast with Jeremy Goodwin.
Live look outside from Menninger Hill, our Capitol Federal Skycam. Everything is soaked. We expected that. Now, the good news is it looks like the heaviest of the rain is behind us. So it looked like it could be an extraordinary night of flooding. Looks like better news is here. I do want to share this with you. That's a funnel cloud from today near Wilsey, 5:58 p.m. Lily Washburn shared that video with me today. That storm was located just about 8 miles northwest of Wilsey. It did produce a funnel cloud. There were several reports of funnel clouds today. Fortunately, nothing touched down. There was no damage from any sort of tornadoes making it down, but we were watching this very closely. I was talking about this a lot on the live feed on WIBW.com and on Facebook as well. And you can see right here, that notch, that's where we had enough rotation. It did produce a funnel cloud just before 6 o'clock today. So every time you get a funnel cloud, doesn't mean tornado warning. Some of these just form and they have no chance making it to the surface. We had a lot of reports of people seeing those, and that was what was going on this afternoon. Now, that same storm produced a lot of rain from Council Grove through Alta Vista, the north side of Topeka, and then up into parts of Jefferson County around Meriden, where we had some flooding on K4 for a while this evening. But you can see that storm, the one that produced the funnel cloud around Wilsey, right there. You see the whole thing just spinning as it moved through, produced more than an inch of rain in some spots at the north side of Topeka and less than 1/10 of an inch on the south side of town. So it didn't produce an even distribution of rain at all, but impressive where it did. Topeka officially, since midnight last night, over an inch of rain. Emporia, Manhattan, both more than 2 inches of rain just today. And over the past hour, we've seen the rainfall amounts not as impressive as they were earlier today, but this problem is going to persist. Even though the rain this evening hasn't been as wild as it could have been, the north side of Emporia, south side of Emporia, you've got the flood warnings on both sides of town. On the north side, the south side of town, it's the Cottonwood River that's a problem, and with 99 already closed, the Cottonwood River expected to climb a little bit through tomorrow into the 10th. We're looking at Friday there, and really stay about the same same level until early next week before it falls off. So you may see 99 inundated and covered for a while. Neosho River also creating some problems on the north side of town, closing Highway 99 north of the interstate there. Expected to stay right where it's at least through Friday morning. Then it tapers off quickly, but that problem could persist around Emporia for the next few days. Looking at the wind gusts coming in from the northwest all the way to Garnett now. That means the cold front has passed through. Along and ahead of the cold front is where the most energy was. That's where the strongest storms are going to be, and that is out of here. So good news. You can sleep tonight without waking up to loud, wild thunderstorms and just torrents of rain. So enjoy your sleep tonight. We'll see a few rain showers the next few hours. After that, it's done, and looks like we're dry for the entirety of Mother's Day weekend when temperatures much nicer, and could see storms middle of next week. But by then, the rivers and creeks should have had at least a break to come back down to somewhat normal levels. Ralph.
For tonight and Mother's Day, and a couple of pieces of good news from Jeremy there. Our Wednesday's child for the middle of this week is Samaria, and she is just as pretty as her name. Lori Hutchinson tells us, and see if she might be right for you. She's hoping to be adopted by her loving forever family.
Welcome to Paint Therapy Uncorked. It's where we meet 14-year-old Samaria, a beautiful young lady who is just finishing her freshman year of high school. She says she likes it.
It's pretty good. I don't know. It's kind of like middle school, but I guess there's like more kids.
As we watch her paint, we expect art to be her favorite subject, but that's not the case.
Math. Math is just like you always have a specific answer to everything. I like that.
Away from school, Samaria has a couple of hobbies. She likes to play and plan.
Volleyball. I draw. Sometimes I draw just like random house decorations, and I do a model of a house because I want to become a wedding planner. It's just, I like organizing stuff for people.
Before Samaria can organize the lives of others, she needs a solid plan for herself, one that includes adoption and a permanent, loving home. She has a few ideas on who would complete the picture.
They're nice, but they're hold me to a standard that I need to be at. They don't need all of the time, but I like having attention a lot. So hopefully come watch me with my volleyball games and stuff like that. Pretty laid back.
With photojournalist Rick Felsberg, Lori Hutchinson, 13 News.
Lori, thank you as always. To find out more about Samaria and the other kids who need adoptive families as well, call the KCSL right there at that number you see on your screen. Also want to point out it's always brought to you by Wendy's. And be sure to log on to the website for KCSL and the Facebook page. Special thanks these past few weeks to Paint Therapy Uncorked, a fun place near 29th and Fair Lawn.
Cool to see. Thanks so much, Ralph. 3 KU standouts are taking another step toward their NBA dreams. We'll tell you who got invites. Plus, one of the alleged shooters in yesterday's school shooting near Denver is in court today.
You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
One of the 2 students accused of shooting his classmates at a Denver area school was in court today. 18-year-old Devin Erickson kept his head lowered during much of the proceedings and spoke very little. He faces 30 counts, including first-degree murder and dozens of attempted murder counts. Erickson and a second suspect, who's identified as 16-year-old Maya McKinney, who identifies as male, are accused of walking into the STEM school yesterday and opening fire in 2 classrooms. 1 student was killed, 8 others injured. Prosecutors are reviewing whether to charge McKinney as an adult. The Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee has issued a subpoena to the president's son, Donald Trump Jr. According to sources, he's considering invoking his Fifth Amendment rights or not appear at all. The Mueller report revealed his team explored charging Trump Jr., but ultimately decided against it because they could not establish if he knew he was violating the law. The House Judiciary Committee has voted to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt of Congress. Today's vote was along party lines, 24-16. The full House will now consider the move. Barr failed to submit the unredacted version of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report to lawmakers, along with its underlying evidence. The vote came hours after President Trump asserted executive privilege over the documents the committee subpoenaed.
Thank you, Melissa. Sports is on the way. Kansas City great Derek Johnson, DJ, retires as a Chief today as well. How much KC means to him on the way in sports. While at Kansas State, they bring on another running back, and also in the NBA, Silvio De Sousa, formerly of KU, gets a workout lined up.
13 Sports with Tyler Griever.
So these two right here were faces of the Chiefs franchise. On offense, Jamal Charles blazed by defenders, and on defense, Derek Johnson laid the hammer down. So it's only fitting that Johnson followed Charles with a similar move just a week apart. The Chiefs welcomed their former linebacker back today to end his playing career with the team. Kansas City's Twitter account put out a video of Johnson breaking down a huddle for a final time. He thanked the organization for, quote, rolling the red carpet out, unquote. Over 13 seasons with the team, he became the franchise's all-time leader in tackles while earning 4 trips to the Pro Bowl. At a football camp he held a couple days ago in Austin, Texas, he spoke of nothing but love for the Chiefs.
The Chiefs have given me so much, man. The Hunt family, man, my hands down, they're the best organization ever. I mean, you talk about the owner, just first class about everything. Kansas City is a football town. So for me going from Austin to the Midwest to Kansas City, couldn't have been a better fit for me. My years in Kansas City are so blessed, and the community and how they supported me throughout my tenure at the Chiefs, love them through and through.
Well, Johnson spent the last season of his pro career with the Raiders, who cut him back in October of 2018. On the college gridiron, whenever you get a new job, there's always a to-do list. And if you haven't gotten the vibe from Chris Kleiman that he needed to make some changes at running back, well, maybe another move today will convince you of that. Former North Carolina running back Jordan Brown announced his commitment to the Wildcats on Twitter today. He will be immediately eligible to play as a graduate transfer. Now, Brown spent 3 seasons with the Tar Heels, leading the team in rushing with 613 yards in 2017 before racking up just 347 last season. Back averaged a little over 4 yards per carry over his career there and scored 8 touchdowns. Keep in mind, he's the second grad transfer running back for KSU, along with James Gilbert. Now, Kansas Hoops didn't get in the transfer game yesterday, landing a 4-star recruit in Tristan Inaruna. And while Bill Self is pretty happy about that, saying the forward has as high of an offensive ceiling as Eddie Jayhawk in recent years, he still has his own guys to keep an eye on with the NBA right now. And 3 of those Jayhawks took another step in that process today. Devon Dotson, Quentin Grimes, and Dedrick Lawson have all been invited to the NBA Combine. It goes from May 14th to the 19th in Chicago. No Kansas State players received invites to the Combine. Players must withdraw by May 29th to retain college eligibility. Also, Silvio De Sousa has a pre-draft workout with the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow. On the baseball diamond tonight, I think the Astros were a little angry about the Royals routing them last night. Houston pounds Kansas City, getting a 9-0 shutout victory. Get this, the Royals struck out 17 times tonight and had just 3 hits. Oh, and Ned Yost got ejected with Martin Maldonado. Michael Brantley had 2 homers for the Astros. You're not going to win many ball games striking out 17 times, Ralph and Melissa.
Yep.
Houston, you gave us a problem.
Yeah. 21 runs scored by the winning teams over the past 2 nights in that KC Houston series.
You like action, I guess? That's activity for you. Who says baseball's boring?
So back and forth. It's like this weather.
It's been a lot of just rain lately, but looks better for the weekend. Here's what we have out there. Tonight, better news. The wild flooding looks like it should start to get better as the Cottonwood River and the Neosho River around Emporia will continue to rise about another foot or so. But most of the creeks and rivers in the area will continue to come down as the heaviest rain looks like it's now past us. Tomorrow, lots of clouds and cool, a high of just 56. This weekend, highs close to 70. We could see an isolated shower Saturday. Not severe, not enough to ruin any weekend plans. It looks great for Mother's Day weekend.
All right. We love our baby videos. This is actually the newest baby giraffe at Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle, Washington, getting a pair of therapeutic shoes. Remember the story of hope that we had right here? This giraffe was born last Thursday to mom Olivia. He hasn't been named so far, but after being born, zoo workers realized the little guy's legs weren't aligned properly.
You saw that he's now sporting some special casts. He's been wearing them almost a week now, expected to undergo more in-depth treatment for his legs in a few months, and hopefully everything all turns out well. But yes, I saw that story, and it definitely looked a lot like Hope.
You said hopefully,
good
but
luck.
They might have passed along some of the things they did for Hope to the crew in Seattle to help out that little baby.
Okay.
And by the way, the royal baby's name is Archie. More details on the website about that.
Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Get the latest news, weather, and sports at WIBW.com or follow WIBW on Twitter, Facebook, and our mobile app. Thank you for making 13 News the most watched evening newscast.